Dying Light 2 is the upcoming survival horror action game developed by Techland, and is the follow-up to 2015's Dying Light. There has been a lot of news and rumors circulating around the game for the past few years since it was revealed, so let's break down everything we know about Dying Light 2, including the confirmed information, rumors, and delays. As always, the sources will be linked in the description below, so make sure to check out and support the original articles. And with that out of the way, let's get into everything we know about Dying Light 2. Let's quickly touch on the history of Dying Light. Techland is the developer of the Dying Light series. They are most known previously for working on Dead Island and currently Dying Light. And it was in 2015 that the original Dying Light was released for the PS4, PC, and Xbox One. The game received middle to very high reviews and was praised for its combat, movement, parkour system, and multiplayer, but was criticized for the story and character development. Regardless of the criticisms, the game sold very well and topped many different sales charts throughout 2015 worldwide. And the most current sales numbers for the game put it at having sold over 5 million units worldwide. So now let's move on to Dying Light 2. In May of 2015, just a few months after the release of the original Dying Light, Techland released a statement about how the studio was going to use their time and resources moving forward, and how they were going to put their game Hellraid on hold and keep putting their resources towards the Dying Light franchise. The exact statement said, quote, "Dear Hellraid fans, we would like to officially announce that our dark fantasy FPP first-person perspective game Hellraid will not be released this year as previously planned, and the development of the game has been put on hold. In the recent months, we've conducted an internal analysis and came to the conclusion that Hellraid, in its current shape and form, is not meeting our own expectations for this project. Therefore, we've decided the best course of action would be to send it back to the drawing board and invent our dark fantasy title anew. In the meantime, we will consolidate our development resources and focus on further expansion of our Dying Light franchise. We wish to thank all of our fans for your support. You're the best." Which does make sense. Dying Light was a huge success, and even till this day they still run events, DLCs, and try to keep the game's player base as live as possible. And it makes sense that Dying Light 2 will be a for sure fire win for them, so might as well put their time into that. And it does make sense again. Techland saw they had something special and should double down on Dying Light instead of trying again with a different IP. And development on the sequel continued through 2018 until Techland were ready to reveal what they'd been working on. At E3 2018 is where some of the first details were given for the game. The trailer starts out by saying that this new game takes place 15 years after the events of the first game, and there's a new protagonist we will play as called Aiden Cadwell. Techland also addressed the story and character development in the original when they hired Chris Avellone, who previously had worked on Fallout New Vegas, Fallout 2, Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic 2, and Jedi Fallen Order, and so much more. So he really is a veteran in this industry and knows a lot about crafting stories and stories that people still talk about to this day. And he was brought onto the team as a narrative designer for Dying Light 2. So it already seems like Techland was getting ahead of some of the problems with the first game, hiring one of the best narrative designers in the industry to help them out and really fill in some of the gaps that they have. They have the gameplay, co-op, and mechanics down, they just needed a little bit of help with the story. Avellone mentioned this game would be more dynamic than the original, and depending on decisions made in the story, it would change the visual look of cities, and it will have an impact on who inhabits the cities, who doesn't, if it's more smugglers, if it's people that will help you out on your journey, how the city will change. So they're really making it an interactive world this time, and it's cool that we're already seeing his impact on this game. And the game was silent again for the rest of 2018 until they came back for E3 2019, and they gave an official reveal trailer and announced that the game would be released in spring of 2020. They also released a few different pieces of gameplay for the game, with some new gadgets. They showed us a swinging hook, a glider, and a pulley system that would all be available to help with traversal of their huge world, and new things they were adding. They also announced that the game map would be 4 times bigger than the original game, and in an interview with Prankster 101, Timon, the lead game designer, said the story can be completed in around 15 to 20 hours. His direct quote said, "It's very hard to measure in an open world game how long it actually takes to complete the game because of the things that happen between points A and points B of a quest. So basically it's up to you how you play it. Also in a game like this, there are a lot of emergencies, things just happen as you play the game, and you have to react to them. But it is 15 to 20 hours for the main story, because the whole content I would say is more than 100 hours. Which is exciting to hear. The first game had a lot of replayability, they supported it with DLC, and I would expect we'll see something similar to this game again. And even a 15 to 20 hour main story is really good considering for the game they're going for, and I assume many people will take advantage of side quests and additional activities. Now, in terms of what consoles you can expect it on, I know for E3 2018, the game trailer was shown off at the Microsoft booth, but it is going to be available for all consoles as of now unless something changes, and they're even looking at current generation and next generation consoles. WCCF Tech was able to sit down with Chris Avallone and a few other members of the team to ask some questions about the game. The exact question I want to point out said, quote, "Dying Light 2 seems like a good candidate to become a cross-generation title. You've hinted at it before, but can you confirm that the game will come to next-generation consoles?" Techland responded saying, quote, "Techland always has an eye on the latest new toys. To be more specific, yes, the plan since the beginning of production has been to make Dying Light 2 a cross-generation title." This once again is a small detail but is exciting to hear. We are getting close to the end of the current generation of consoles, and if they've been working on next generation consoles since the beginning of production, it's not going to feel rushed, and hopefully they can take advantage of the additional power in next gen. Now, in terms of the game itself, the story takes place, as I said, 15 years after the original game, and humanity is now in a modern Dark Ages. Humanity will be a bigger part of the game and story, and zombies will be now used in a side role to push humanity to make decisions and impact the story that ways instead of every issue always being zombies. They're introducing new names and some new types of zombies. Freshly bitten zombies are called viral. Then, after time, they become biters, which are regular standard zombies, and after being exposed to UV light, they become degenerates. The exact quote from Games Radar during the interview says, "We have this whole cycle of the infected life in-game. The infected start as a viral, which is someone who just got bitten and just got infected, so they still show traces of humanity, and at this point they are very quick, very dangerous, they avoid the sun at all costs. But after some time in that state, they turn into what we call biters, which are your regular zombies, slowly moving infected that, if able, will try and grab you and infect you or eat you. But the sunlight is dangerous to them, and they are not as quick and as agile as virals. If biters stay in the sun for a long period of time or under a UV light, they turn into degenerates, decaying zombies that are very weak with pieces of flesh falling off of them. So they're really not that dangerous to you, but you still have to keep an eye out for them because Dying Light 2 is a systemic game. A lot of things happen emergently, and of course, there's a different path of evolution for the infected where they turn into volatiles, which are the most dangerous extreme night predators. If you see them, you just need to run. There's no fighting with those guys because they will kill you. Which is exciting to hear. They're adding more enemies. Now, we still haven't seen what the game looks like at night and how all of those new mechanics they've talked about will play out. And I know that's one thing fans are holding their breath for, and I think Techland is smartly holding off on that and waiting because they know it's one of the biggest unanswered questions of the game so far. So going into 2020, it seemed like release was right around the corner with a spring 2020 release date, but then in January, they announced the game was delayed. Techland's official statement said, quote, "To our dedicated community, it was a busy year for us as we continued working on our biggest project to date. We know you are awaiting the game eagerly, and we want to deliver exactly what we promised. We were initially aiming for a spring 2020 release with Dying Light 2, but unfortunately we need more development time to fulfill our vision. We will have more details to share in the coming months, and we'll get back to you as soon as we have more information. We apologize for this unwelcome news. Our priority is to deliver an experience that lives up to our own high standards and to the expectations of you, our fans. Please stay tuned, and thank you to our fans around the world for your continued support, patience, and understanding. So as of right now, we aren't sure when the game will be released, especially with the global pandemic that is still causing delays. Dying Light 2 and Techland might just decide to push the entire release to 2021, which will give them extra time to create the game they truly want to make, and will give people time to get the next generation of consoles so they can sell it on all 4 consoles at once and then PC. But really, that's everything we know about Dying Light 2. It has been in development since sometime around 2016. The game has been in a playable state for at least the past year or two, and Techland is taking the criticism from Dying Light 1 serious and seems to be creating a story that is worth putting a lot of time into and creating a full protagonist players can relate to. As always, make sure to like and share this video, subscribe for weekly gaming news, and I will see you guys in the next one.